This is my daughter's 2017 Hyundai Elantra. Just looking at the headlights. After about 7 years, they're just starting to show some of this oxidation and wear and everything. They're very rough. Sometimes it's hard to capture how bad they look in photos, so I'm thinking maybe a video where I can move it around will be better than some photos. So they're not terrible, but they're definitely scratched up and got that film on them. This one's a little worse, I think, on the driver's side. You can really pick it up all in here. So what we're gonna do today is restoration of these headlights. So we're gonna get started by washing our work area. All right, so what we're going to use is this Cerakote ceramic headlight restoration kit. I'll put links to everything I use in the video description. The only thing I would recommend you grab are some microfiber towels, a couple of disposable paper towels, and a spray bottle for water. Just regular water makes it a little easier. You could use a hose, but that's just way too much water for what you need. So all we did was wash real quickly just the headlight area with regular car soap. We rinsed it with water. We raised the hood so that we have access to the top of the light. This light really doesn't wrap around into the hood area like a lot of cars, but it's still better. You won't mess the paint up on your hood by lifting it when we do the sanding. So we have 3 steps, and the way they describe the directions is to do all of step 1 on both lights, and then you do all of step 2 on both lights, and then all of step 3 on both lights. So we will be doing both lights together in that way, and we won't bore you by video and slow video of everything. I'm going to show you the steps. Wear the gloves they provide. If you run out of those, then just make sure you protect your hands and your eyes. There's chemical on this step 1. You're going to want to unfold this towel twice, so it ends up being it's kind of hard sometimes to get that edge, but it does unfold. This is a step 1 oxidation remover. This should get the yellowing off of the lights, and this one you do in a circular motion. You're welcome to protect your paint with some painter's tape if you want to tape up around here, but you can also just wipe your paint after you're done. And so I'm going to do that because in step 2, when we use the spray bottle, the tape gets so saturated with water that it pretty much just falls off anyway. So the time it takes to tape it, I can wipe my paint off afterward. You're going to get most of the stuff off first. So what I'm going to do is really spend a lot of time on this towel because I'm going to get most of my progress for step 1 on this first towel. And then once I feel like this towel is completely done, I will move on to the first towel on the other light. Really not that bad. It's dirty, but not terrible. So now I'm gonna just do that again. By the time we got to that last one, it's pretty clean, so that's a good sign. So now that we're done working with that chemical from step one, we're going to remove these gloves, and then we're going to spray that area with water and clean it up really good. We're trying to clean all that oil off of everything before we move on to step two. Step two is what I consider probably where the main work is to be done. It's the sanding step. So we have in step two this something you can hold on to, the Velcro type surface, hook and loop type surface holds the red sanding disc on. That's a 2000 grit. That's the one we use first. Then we're going to go to a 3000 grit with the gray. So red, then gray. Like I said, it's a wet process, so you don't want it to be dry or you'll scratch your headlights, so everything is to be saturated. Be careful not to scratch your paint. This is where it's definitely want your hood raised, and be careful on the edges. So in step one, we did a circular motion. Step two, side to side. So no circles on this or you'll put some really nasty swirl scratches in your headlights. So we want to do a back and forth motion. See, you can just tell immediately the stuff that's coming off. That white liquid, just keep spraying. You can't use too much water. So the water just helps the sandpaper glide, and it's scraping off the old oxidized plastic and it's getting down to a new plastic surface. That's what we want. So this, like I say, so here on this car I can come over to about here with the disc, and then I'm into this triangle. So I'll wait till later and I'll take the disc off and just use that by hand. But I'm going to get all that I can first with the with holding this yellow applicator, because it makes it easier. Same thing back here with the triangle shape. I can get the disc back to about here. So at the end, I'll get this and this by taking the disc off. All right, so when you look at them, you're like, well, they look terrible. This is the step where, you know, you start to think you're making them look worse instead of better, because this is the point in the project when they look the worst. So you can see all the cloudiness, all the haziness. Just stick with it. Stick with what you're doing. So now we're going to go up to a 3000 grit, a little finer. Get a little, smooth it out a little bit over what we just did. Same process that we just did, just with a different disc. Other than that, it's the same process. All right, step 2, the hardest step, is done. So now we're gonna clean this up and really saturate it, wipe it down, because for step 3, our final and easiest step, everything has to be 100% dry. So we're going to start by just, wiping it down, but then we're going to have to really dry it completely. This gets us a good start. And one of the concerns you're going to have at this stage, or you would have had if you went and watched this video, is, am I really ready for the final step, which is the ceramic coating, if my headlight still looks bad? Because you still got all this cloudiness. And really, it almost looks worse now than it did when we started. If you look at it, it looks worse now than when we started. You can see all that cloudiness. But stick with the program. You're gonna find out in just a minute how it's gonna look. All right, so they're very clear in the directions that the ceramic coating, the clear coat, is not compatible with water. So you're gonna wanna use something, maybe a air duster, air in a can. This is an air duster. So you wanna try to blow out these crevices around the headlight. All right, so those are completely dry, so that's very important. Now I threw my gloves away and after step 1, so I'm gonna go get another pair of protective gloves, because again, I'm gonna be handling a chemical. Okay, so remember a couple things. Bone dry on the headlights. You saw how they look now with that cloudiness. What we're gonna do with this applicator, we again go in the cross motion this way, across to left to right, or right to left, however you want. But you start on one end of the headlight and you come across and you come back and overlap 50% and go again, overlap 50%. You don't go back and forth, you always start. I'm gonna start from the outside of the headlight and go towards the inside of the car. And then when I'm done, I'll come around with a clean microfiber and wipe the paint off. So I'm gonna do this side, and I'm gonna come over, I'm gonna do this side, and then I'm gonna wipe the paint off. And the directions say to let it sit a minimum of 1 hour before you drive it or expose it to water. I would highly recommend letting it sit longer than that. If you have a garage, that's even better. But if you don't, just make sure it's not raining and try not to drive it for a little while. It'd be best if you could let it sit overnight, but at least 1 hour minimum. So we're gonna take this applicator out This is our third and final step. Again, you're dealing with a chemical. You can smell this thing. I'm gonna go ahead and leave this folded. I think it'll make it easier to work with. So I'm gonna start here, and I'm gonna sweep across the headlight and watch that haze disappear as I wipe this on. It's pretty amazing. I'm going back because I'm seeing what I missed. That's why I went back. I could tell that I missed. This is something you really want to really just go over once, but if you see that you missed something, go ahead and get it. Okay. Like I'm seeing a couple of spots here that I'm going to tackle before I go to the other light. So right here I got a couple of spots that I missed. Right here I see a little scratch. Right here I see a spot that I missed. Okay, that looks perfect. So I'm done with that. I'm not going to touch it again. That looks perfect. It's just so satisfying when you see the haze disappear. Kind of go over another time, kind of seeing some spots that I missed. Looks so much better. I can tell there's still a little bit of wear on the side that's gonna still be there, but it looks great. All right, that looks fantastic. All right, so we are done with the applying. We are going to take a clean microfiber and we're gonna wipe our paint off. A microfiber that I haven't used yet, and I'm gonna, without touching the light, I'm just gonna take my finger inside that microfiber and just rub the paint without touching the headlight. To make sure that any of that might have touched my paint is off my paint. Look at this after. It's just a total transformation. So I have tried the 3M Rain-X Sylvania and the Cerakote. The Cerakote is the easiest to apply and gives the best results. So I hope that's been helpful. Thank you for watching. Please check the video description for links to products that we used.